And then there comes Horatio. So, real quick, I'm at 29. Just want to talk briefly about why this soliloquy matters. Because it is a soliloquy, right? We talked the other day. All soliloquies are, in fact, monologues. Not all monologues are soliloquies. A monologue is for everyone to hear. A soliloquy is only between you and the speaker who's speaking, because we don't have a narrator to do that job for us. He says, oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt, on page 29. Did you see the closed captions there say solid? That this too solid flesh would melt? So sullied means dirty, stained, defiled somehow. But solid, I almost like solid better, because then that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. So solid is flesh is solid, and then solid to melt, to thaw, to resolve into a dew. We were talking the other day about the idea of evaporation, right? He says, why can't I just disappear? Or, line 131, that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. I think there's a pun in that. That someone would fix their cannon against self-slaughter, right? A cannon like a gun. But he means canon, C-A-N-O-N. It means law, or a book of laws. Everlasting, capital E. We're talking about who? God. So if only God had not set up a law against harming yourself. And then he's all over the place. He's all over the place. But one thing we can be sure, he is depressed. But yeah, those first 4 lines describe a guy who wishes he weren't here. And he's your protagonist. So if he's not here, then this play just got hurt. Oh God, God, he says twice. How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. Weary, stale, flat, unprofitable. These are all negative terms. Fie on it, or fee, depending on who you are. It's an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature do possess it merely, that it should come to this. And he gives us this colon here. Not even 2 months dead. So now, we don't know exactly when old King Hamlet passed. We don't know what stories circulated in town. But do we start to get some time signatures here? We know some more things now than we did at the first. Not even 2 months dead. So excellent was he that was to my uncle in the same way that a Hyperion and a satyr, or a satyr, might be compared. My uncle and my father, there is no comparison to be made, he says. So loving to my mother, why she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. So the more they loved each other, the more they wanted to love each other. What an awesome way to look at a relationship. And yet, line 145 gives us another one of those coordinating conjunctions that's always going to jam us up. And yet, within a month, let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. He keeps interrupting himself with thought, and then interjecting thought, and then interjecting thought. And we did establish the other day, the statement, frailty, thy name is woman, is a sexist phrase, right? Is his beef just with Gertrude? And then he name drops Niobe. The footnote will help you out. She's hard-hearted, but she cries anyway for appearances. Do we follow the analogy now? Does Hamlet see his mother as being part of the problem here? Does Hamlet see his uncle as being part of the problem here? Does Hamlet ever ask what happened to my dad? He doesn't even ask, why aren't I king? Instead, it's more about the interpersonal relationship between his mom and his uncle. Obsessing over that for too long could probably be weird. He says, a beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer. In other words, animals wait longer to replace their mates than my mother waited to replace hers. And she married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. So now we've compared old King Hamlet to his brother, and we say there's no comparison to be made, as though you were comparing me to Hercules. If you know anything about the Hercules myth, that might be important to us later. Hercules is going to come back around in this conversation. And then within a month, she's crying after his poor dead body. But Hamlet drops you something real important right there, line 159. It is not, nor it cannot come to good. Is that foreshadowing? This is even more important because your buddy Horatio told you the first bit of foreshadowing. This bit of foreshadowing comes directly from whose mouth? That's right, your protagonist, Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. All right, so interrupting his soliloquy, another trend that we will probably see, interrupting his soliloquy is Horatio with his friends from the patrol. Remember Act 1, Scene 1 and how it ended? We better go find Hamlet. And so here we are. We found him.